Hey guys, Corey here with AuDHD Act 2, where we talk about things you can do today to better shape tomorrow. So it's a beautiful morning, and I think it's a great day to talk about PDA and Autistic Inertia. Because on a beautiful morning like this, you wake up, you see the sun, you want to go get started, you want to accomplish some things and check some things off your lists and get them hits of dopamine early and just have a good day, every day, but especially when the sun's out and shining like this. But you've been sitting at your desk for an hour and you find that nothing has gotten done. You know what you need to do. You have projects, you have things that are on your mind. They're stressing you out. They're placing these demands on you, and it's just making you want to avoid them even more. So PDA is Pathological Demand Avoidance, and it's fairly common with neurodivergent people. What it is basically you start to see demands as threats. So they're things that are forcing you to do things you don't want to do, and it just makes you naturally resist them more. And what happens when you perceive these threats is you go into fight or flight or freeze mode. And a lot of times, because these aren't life-threatening things. These aren't like a bear chasing you in the woods or something that's like an evolutionary threat that you've learned, you've got to run, you've got to fight or whatever. Almost always with these little tasks on your to-do list, you end up in freeze mode, not fight or flight. It's just freeze mode. You may call it fight, like maybe you resist it, but like really you're just doing nothing. It's inaction. So you combine the challenges you already have with PDA with autistic inertia, and all of a sudden just the thought of getting started is like climbing a 100-foot wall. Like it's so challenging just to kind of break the seal, to get that ball moving. That first inch up the hill is the hardest inch. So today we're going to talk about a few things you can do to bypass PDA, to bypass or to shortcut, I guess, getting around autistic inertia and PDA. These are things, there are different levels, and there's going to be days that are going to be much harder than others. So I don't want to minimize this as if you just go through step 1, 2, and 3, and all of a sudden this is no longer a thing. But for the average day, for most days, when you're kind of facing the same sticky starting point and you're just looking to get things rolling, these tips and tricks will absolutely take care of days like that. So number one, the first is called radical permission. So what this means is basically recognize how your mind works and recognize what you've achieved in the past and know that you will achieve things again in the future. You have to give yourself permission to not be so rigid with these demands. If your mind's not in a place where it can do, spreadsheet or cost analysis or whatever, something, mathematical, just for this example, if your mind's not in that place, you're not going to put it in that place. So accept that sometimes doing the things that you want to do versus doing the things that your body wants to do and your mind is prepared to do is not always the same. So one of the ways to kind of break that sticking point, though, with the PDA is to actually say out loud, I'm choosing to wait until I'm ready to start this. That sounds silly, and talking to yourself may not be your thing, but just accepting and saying out loud that you're making a choice helps to bypass the pathological demand avoidance, because it's not a demand, it's a choice. Having choice is really the key here. So give yourself that radical permission to kind of be you, like to do you, to have a day that follows your needs and isn't just some cookie cutter, copy of what everybody else in the productivity world says your day should look like. Number two, so you've given yourself permission, you've made it a choice, it's no longer a demand. That doesn't fix anything yet, but it does kind of help your mindset get into a place where you can fix it and you can start building momentum. So number two is ridiculously small action. So start with the tiniest version of action that you can find. So this may be just logging in to your computer, putting in your password and opening your email. This may be putting a title page on the project that you've been putting off. This could be just writing the first check of payroll or whatever your task may be. Again, however it's weighing on your mind, find the tiniest first step. What this will do is give you an easy win. It'll give you the tiniest bit of momentum. It can't be much. It can't be more than a couple of minutes. It has to be tiny. So for me, I still start most of my morning with reposting some things. This is for clients. This is blog posts. This is YouTube shorts, things like that. I do a lot of marketing for my clients, and it's a lot of repetitive clicks. So every day I do the same few things to get started. And that puts a check mark on my checklist that takes a thing off my list that reduces my demand for the day and instead allows me to say, I've made a choice, I've built a tiny bit of momentum, and now I have an opportunity to build on that and have additional momentum, or however I want to do it. And you don't have to. This isn't, you don't do these tiny choices as a requirement to do more things. You can absolutely stop, and you have to have the choice to stop. If you do this thing and all of a sudden you realize that you are completely fried and you're not going to be able to do the things you wanted to do today, note that, adjust, and make those changes to where that day focus on nothing but tiny tasks. If you have the bandwidth to do just a little bit, that'll make a big difference. Keeping a tiniest amount of momentum is so much more valuable, or it's such an easier starting point than starting from a dead stop with zero momentum. So you've given yourself radical permission. You've taken the tiniest of action to get a little bit of momentum and put that checklist and get that first win. So the next thing is not really a step, but more of a mindset adjustment. So you have to look at the things that are on your plate as things you get to do, not things you have to do. So, and this should be kind of a viewpoint for life. I can show you a focal point for your life in general is continuously iterating in order to have a schedule full of things you like doing versus a schedule of, just tedious, mind-numbing tasks that drive you towards burnout. So don't take a job as an accountant if you're a creative type. Like if math's going to drive you nuts, don't do that job. Go find another job. Make the changes in your life you need to make. But for this case, the I don't have to, I get to mindset, again, it reinforces the choice. It reinforces that everything we do is a choice. No matter how we look at it, the only person placing obligations on ourselves is ourselves. There's always consequences to all of our choices, but we can intentionally use those choices to better our lives. Not all choices lead to, consequences that are bad. Consequences could be good things. So we need to eliminate the words like must and have to and need to and all of these things, and recognize that when we take a job, when we make a choice, when we, choose a career field or a career path, those are decisions we're making, and we have that control. It doesn't have to just be, where can I find the enough money to pay my bills? Working as just a means to money is the wrong approach. You need to approach everything in your life as having some sort of meaning. And that is not impossible. That sounds difficult, especially if you've worked kind of menial, tedious jobs for your whole life. But with some intentional thinking and some assessment and some iteration in your life, you can absolutely make the decisions that kind of make all of this stuff easier, because you wake up wanting to do what you do every day. So you got permission, you did a couple of tiny tasks, you're reminding yourself that these are the things that you've chosen to do for your life. These are the things that are going to move you towards your goals. And at this point, as the demand is gone, like you no longer have a demand, you have choices, you have things that are improving your life, you have working towards your goals, you have checking things off your list, things that are feeding you and energizing you at this point. You've broken past the sticking point, you've got a little bit of momentum, and now you get to ride the wave. So this could be like a monotropic wave, like maybe you're just deep into whatever your project is you're working on, and you're just dialed in and you just ride that wave on that one thing. Sometimes it's not monotropic. Sometimes it is like an area. So maybe you start the wave and all of a sudden, like, you are just cranking out all sorts of art. It's not just one thing. Or you're in a video editing mode and you're just like, you're doing all sorts of things, but the momentum from one task leads to the momentum of the next task. So the closer those tasks are to each other in relationship, like maybe one's video, like filming, and the next thing is editing. Like those are very similar. You can take the momentum from one thing into the next. It doesn't have to just be as monotropic as we sometimes think, or, some of the materials out there lead us to believe is like, you don't just have to dive in on like chess moves. It could be just strategy in general that your mind is hovering on right now. So keep that in mind. So that kind of is the gist of it. You give yourself permission to wait until you're ready. You take the tiniest of action to get the tiniest of momentum, and then you build on that. And you accept the fact that your choices are yours, and that sometimes getting momentum is about adjusting some things in your life and getting to the place where you wake up every day saying, I'm so lucky I get to do this, instead of waking up every day saying, I can't believe I have to get up and do this again. You get to make those choices and you get to change those things. But the biggest thing is don't fight your brain. Don't fight who you are. That's where you're getting all of this friction, is from an internal battle against yourself and who you are versus who you think you need to be. And just be you. Just be you. Let your brain tell you when you're ready to work on things. Follow your energy, and everything else will take care of itself. But I'm going to cut it there. Thank you guys for joining me today. If you got anything out of this, please like the video, please subscribe, share, all the things, and enjoy your day.